morning, Santa Clarita. How you doing out there? Hey, how you doing? Hey, it's a Friday morning. How tough could it be, huh? It's gonna be a gorgeous weekend out there. You, right now, are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. If this is your first time, Eye on the Valley is brought to you, like I said, by SCVI and iLead Schools. We're a network of charter schools with campuses in Castaic, Agua Dulce, Lancaster. We've also got a fully accredited online school, a burgeoning homeschool program called iLead Exploration. I mean, we've got about 3,000 homeschoolers now. It's just growing like crazy. You know what? For more information on any of our schools, classroom-based, hybrid, independent study, just go ahead and visit us at iLeadschools.org, and you can check us out. Like I said, all of our 6 schools at iLeadschools.org. So yeah, we keep our eye on education here in Santa Clarita and across the nation. But like the show says, we like to keep our eye on the valley as well. We like to stay abreast of everything that's going on in and around town and keep you informed. And we do all that with trying to bring a little bit of a smile to your face, because you know, if you're not chuckling a little bit while you're doing your stuff, you're doing it wrong. It gets me in trouble at board meetings and funerals sometimes, but hey, that's all right. It's all good. So, it feels like summer is finally creeping in. A little foggy here in downtown Newhall this morning, but it's going to be an absolutely gorgeous weekend here in the Valley. Are you ready for it? Well, the weekend can't start until we sign off. So go ahead and grab that third cup of coffee this morning. Settle in with us, because you are in for a great show today. We start this morning with Jen Acevedo from the Paseo Club, because I like to get my club on. Mm-hmm. And Jen will be here in just a moment. She's actually here in the studio with us, so we'll get right to that. But in hour number 2, we've got the boss coming in. We've got CEO of iLead California, Amanda Fisher. Amanda supports the operation and education at those 6 different schools I was just telling you about. Some incredible schools. Our kids are accomplishing amazing things. I was actually out at one of our schools yesterday while our sophomores were presenting their passion project, year-long project that just, got to tell you, a couple of them brought tears to my eyes. It's just amazing what our kids are accomplishing. So yeah, Amanda will be here in about an hour, and we'll talk about all the different things that her kids have accomplished. Her kids, our kids, your kids have accomplished at iLead Schools this year. And yeah, like we do, I know he's got a fan base. Big T will be here at the end of the show with a little fun and trivia. So gonna be a great show. Let's go ahead and get right into it. My first guest today is the general manager at the Paseo Club in Valencia. Jen Acevedo is an experienced professional with a demonstrated history of working in the health, wellness, and fitness industry. Skilled in leadership, coaching, mentoring, event management, and marketing, Jen brings her strong community and social skills to making the Paseo Club everything you need for living your best life in Santa Clarita, from tennis and pickleball courts to swimming pool, gym, and social life. Jen, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
That was a lot, right?
It is a lot. You do all kinds of stuff out there. No wonder you stay in such great shape.
Right. Running around. I'm very good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. So first off, as if there were anybody in town that wasn't aware of the Paseo Club, can you tell us a little bit of the history? How long has the Paseo Club been around?
So this fall, we are actually going to celebrate 20 years.
20 years.
20 years.
Wow.
The SCV. I know. Kind of amazing. It's gone by fast. I've been there for 11. So, not the entire show, but quite a hefty amount. So it's amazing to think, it's really going to hit 20 years.
That is fantastic. And you're out there kind of on Newhall Ranch Road right there in kind of the heart of town.
Yes.
So you mentioned you've been open 20 years now. You got a big shindig planned for the
We're going to do a huge luau. It's going to kind of close out the summer. Big party. Luau used to be an annual thing that was great. Kind of went away during pandemic,
our silliness,
several things did. But this is, perfect way for us to bring it back. We're really, this whole summer, we're bringing it all back. All the social, all the parties, all the interaction, the things that we've missed.
I love that. I feel like, it did take a while. We were a little bit tentative. The world was a little bit tentative coming out of the pandemic, but it seems like Santa Clarita is back. We had the Cowboy Festival just a couple of weeks ago, and it seems like our spring and summer calendar are just full blast, and the luau is back at the Paseo Club.
Right.
That is fantastic. Celebrating again 20 years. You mentioned that you've been there 11 years. So how did you come to join the Paseo Club, and what were you doing before you came over?
I was working at a gym, just,
Right.
very lovely place, but I made my way over to Paseo. I was lucky enough to be hired as a fitness instructor first,
Okay.
and then I was a personal trainer as well. And then I started teaching tennis, and then I started teaching pickleball.
Okay.
So, really kind of just all the sport things. And
Wow.
right?
Okay. So you kind of have, I don't know, is that climbing the ladder? Is that bouncing around? So you
That
started
was
out.
both. That's definitely bouncing around. There's
Yeah.
a lot of bouncing. And then I became a tennis director,
All right.
which was amazing, running the tennis department. Then it was racket sports because pickleball, it's not the same, a little different.
Sure.
Very wildly popular, but not the same as tennis. So
It is.
right?
It is. And
Can't
pickleball
get
is.
away from it right now.
No, it's everywhere.
Yes.
I remember during the pandemic, we just mentioned, we would have our mayor, Cameron Smythe, in here all the time, and every week he would give us an update on the pickleball courts out at Central Park. And I got to be honest, before the pandemic started, I don't think I had ever heard of pickleball. Is it a new sport, or has it just been around for a long
It's
time
not
that I've never heard of it?
new. It was actually, it began in 1963. So it goes back a ways, but really the last
1963,
7,
wow.
8 years, it's just boomed. The last 3 years, it's been the fastest growing sport in the nation.
Wow.
And I think, obviously pandemic played a role. You could
Sure.
be socially distanced,
Yeah, that's a good
not be
point.
socially distant, much like tennis. Tennis had kind of a nice resurgence during pandemic for the same reasons. You could be with friends without feeling like you were breaking rules or doing something unsafe. And so those two sports together, they definitely were a savior for a lot of people during the pandemic.
Yeah, it was a way to get outside, because a lot of us were just sitting on our couch for a year or so, and it was tough. So yeah, you're right.
And just
that
stuck,
probably did.
right? Just I
Yeah.
don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. And
Right.
we transitioned everything outside. So the whole all the fitness classes.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So it was really, for us, once we were able to reopen our doors in the summer of 20,
Okay.
it really revitalized a lot of our community, because it
Right.
was that, okay, we still have connection. We
Right.
can still come together and say hello and be friendly and get a good workout in
Mhm.
and, just engage in the world and not feel quite as isolated as, as it
Yeah.
was easy to do.
Yeah, yeah. I remember, and especially in the early days, it was kind of depressing, almost a dystopian time, right? I remember, uh, I mentioned before we started the show, I went to a full Monday through Friday schedule here
Mhm.
at the station, and we had to have, or we thought we had to have press passes so that we could be out on the streets and out of our homes. It was kind of weird, but I'm so grateful for organizations like yours that gave folks the opportunity to say, hey, no, you got to live your life. You got to get out. You got to stay active. You got to stay connected with people, and everybody's
Just have
there.
that community,
Mhm.
right? I think that's one of the neat things about Santa Clarita in general. Our community really feels like people take the time,
Yeah.
to engage and to be connected and to be, part of life out here. And that's a
Yeah.
huge thing for us at the club is that's what we want to be. That's our whole thing, your healthy, connected life.
I love that. Yeah, yeah. Connection is so important to our community, and you guys became 20 years ago a hub for that,
Mhm.
where folks are connecting, doing all kinds of stuff. Now, Jen, I'm looking here at your bio, and it says you studied journalism. You got your degree in journalism from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Go
I
Mustangs.
did. Go
Um,
Mustangs, that's right.
so, how did you go from journalism into health and fitness and
So
running
I
the
was
Paseo
lucky
Club?
enough, I played tennis at Cal Poly.
Oh,
So I was a
great.
tennis player all 4 years, Division I athlete, the whole deal. But
Nice.
being in the journalism department, I got to cover a lot of the sports.
Okay.
So I got to be, in the rec center
Okay.
learning about classes. And I got to be over by the pool and watching the swim team do their thing and watch the football stadium get built. And, so really be a part of all the sports.
Yeah.
And then I was lucky enough to be teaching tennis for a while, and it really, at this point, being the general manager of the club, I really feel like I've gotten to blend those two things together. I write the newsletter and little things like that, but
Okay.
just the interaction. You know what it's like to sit here and interview somebody, and talk to someone, and I do that with the members or with
Okay.
prospects coming in, and just that sort of interaction, and then mixed with getting to be outside and play tennis and pickleball and work out, and I would argue I have the best job in the world.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking that a lot of our listeners are probably getting really jealous right now. You get to go to the club and exercise for a living.
Yeah.
You mentioned the newsletter, but I'm sure being general manager of a place that's so vibrant and active as a Paseo Club, there's a lot more that goes into it than that. So
It's busy.
tell us what else you do and what guidance you offer the club.
For me, having been the sports director first and the tennis director and then teaching before that, I sort of bring a different mindset than I think a lot of general managers would, or managers of clubs, and kind of being in that scenario, because I've done all of that stuff. I always joke I've done everything at the club except be in the kitchen, and nobody wants me in there. I have a kid who's in our kids club who, I get to see how wonderful that is, and what a great peer group for our littlest members to have a place to go and be. And I've covered at the front desk, so that very busy, frenetic, somebody walking in and the phone is ringing, and I've done that before. And then just getting to be a part of the leadership team. I have an incredible team that I get to work with: fitness director, tennis director, maintenance, food and beverage. And we bring all those things together to really make sure that community is well knit and works together. I mean, you got to go to work every day. That's not a bad place to be.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're fortunate to have you in that you've kind of done everything there at the club. And so you're able to monitor and support everybody on the team, except the kitchen, just let them do what they do, as long as the folks
they know what they're doing in there. No need.
All right. So for folks who haven't been to the Paseo Club and they think, well, that's a couple of tennis courts and now you're saying some pickleball, but there's so much more that the Paseo Club offers. Can you talk to our listeners about what the club offers if, for example, they're not into tennis, or, maybe they are, but they're looking for a lot more stuff? What all do you do?
Absolutely. Yeah. We definitely began as a tennis club. The dream in the beginning was about bringing a tennis club to the Valley, because we didn't have anything like it. But we've evolved in so many directions in 20 years. It's pretty incredible. So now healthy, connected life, obviously, but it's really, if you're a family in Santa Clarita, it's so easy to get fragmented. I got to take my kid over here, my husband's over here, I'm over here, then I got to pick them up, this, that, whatever, and you bounce around. And we have a wonderful town to do that in, but it's also growing. So that bouncing around takes longer and longer and worse traffic. And a place like Paseo, it's really your one-stop shop.
Yeah.
We can all come over there. We can all park. We can all scatter and do our own things.
All right.
We can all come back together and have a meal. And, I know that my daughter is safe when she's at the club. She's got her friend. She's got her, she's 6. And I get to feel like, you know what? She's good.
Okay.
If we want to do something together, she and I can go and, I'll give her a tennis lesson, or she can be in kids club, or she can do a drill, or she can, take part in Paseo Aquatics and be in the pool. So there's a host of things for our young members. They can start going to kids club as young as 3 months old.
Oh, wow.
And then they kind of graduate from kids club at 11.
All right.
But that entire version, you're in the baby room, and then you graduate to the big kids room. And so they really have their own lives there.
All right.
And then for me, I mean, obviously I'm the weirdo. I'm doing everything, but we have an amazing gym, cardio deck upstairs. You've got your treadmills, your stair steppers, your ellipticals, all that stuff. We've got a full weights area down at the bottom. So all your free weights, all your bench, all your, and all the heavy lifting that's really become popular through pandemic, and science changes and evolves, and, what is the right workout? Lifting has become huge.
Yeah.
So we have, amazing lift classes where you can learn how to do it correctly, and how do I start to add to my, my clean or my squat or what, whatever.
Yeah.
And then super fun cardio classes, like Zumba or Cardio Core Extreme, things like that, where you're with friends, taking a class, bouncing around, getting your endorphins, really getting your day going. To liquid cardio, where you're in the pool getting a workout, which, the weather gets a little toasty.
Sure.
That's the place to be, for sure. We've got a Pilates studio with reformers. We do classes for Pilates. We do yoga. I mean, so even without the tennis and pickleball, which are obviously a big component, there is a ton going on. There's a ton to do. And then, obviously, you meet in the clubhouse and have a frosty beverage. And,
there you go.
Right? Life is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Family kind of gathers real quick. And,
Exactly.
hey, how's it going? What are you doing? You been in the pool yet? Fantastic. And I love, like you said, you've got something for everybody. I don't want to, stereotype roles or anything like that, but a lot of families do kind of drive to different parts of the town to get their different exercise in, where maybe one of the kids is out at the park swimming, and somebody else is going to another part of the town so they can lift, and somebody else is doing something else. Y'all have it all in one spot. Everybody can get everything that they need and have a great time, interact with others. You mentioned that your daughter kind of sounds like she sort of has free reign of the place, not because she's the general manager's daughter, but because it's a club and they can kind of enjoy things, so the whole family can go and play together, stay together, or scatter and do their own thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you get in, especially now, we're heading into summertime. Everyone's schedule gets different, but we have a really great tennis summer camp, and we have a really great pickleball summer camp.
Great.
So for pickleball for juniors, same thing. The sport is growing in popularity like wildfire.
Yeah.
But here's a summer camp. I can take my kids. They don't even have to be members to come to summer camp.
Get out.
Yeah, everyone's invited to take part in summer camp. Our applications are on the website.
All right.
You can do a week of tennis camp and then a week of pickleball. You could do all one, all the other. I mean, you can mix it up.
Fantastic.
So you keep it interesting and engaging.
Sure.
Like my daughter, my 6-year-old, she'll do both. So some days she'll do tennis camp, some days she's going to do pickleball camp.
Okay.
But what a blast, she's learning a skill. She's out of the house. It's not that boring summer where it's like me and my iPad and
right.
They take a break, they go have lunch together, all the kids, and they're broken up. Same thing from 5 to 18.
Okay.
They go have lunch, they jump in the pool. We've got lifeguards, so you feel good about them cooling off in the heat, and then the little kids go do arts and crafts to finish the day, and the big kids go back and play some more. And it's a nice way to spend your summer during those days that mom and dad are at work and can't necessarily facilitate a vacation every day of the break.
Yeah, definitely. So this fascinates me. I was under the assumption that you offered all these amazing opportunities and activities for your members, but you say even non-members can join the summer camps. What are the hours for the summer camps? What
summer pickleball camp is 10 to 2.
10. Okay.
And tennis camp is 10 to 3.
Okay, and it's not so 10 to 3 is 5 hours, but it's not tennis for 5 hours, like you said.
Right. Yeah, we
lunch
do
is included, and they can
skills and drills and warm-ups and all kind of fun stuff where they stay together and work on things in the beginning. Noon, we all head up. They have lunch by the pool. They kick back. They relax a little. They get to swim again, with lifeguards on site, so it's not scary or anything. And all the camp counselors, they stay and hang out, so everyone's having a party. That's then they break at the end, and so the little kids, like I said, they go get to be in some air conditioning and cool off a little, and the big kids go back down and start to put their skills to use in match play.
All right.
And then
so much fun.
Gets to afternoon, and you've had a full day.
That sounds like so much fun. So we do need to take a quick break, but I've got so much more that I want to talk to you about. But for families that are already interested in whether it's like, gosh, I didn't realize how much the Paseo Club has to offer. We need to get some memberships before the summer starts.
Absolutely.
Or need to get my kid into pickleball camp for the summertime. How do folks learn more? How do they get signed up?
Everything's on the website, thepaseoclub.com.
That's easy.
So, right? Super easy. Beautiful pictures, just it kind of gives you a sense of the vibe, everything that's there, what it's like to do life there. But applications for summer camp, we have a huge learning center. So any question that you have, like, man, she mentioned a lift class. Like, what's that about? There's an article, to learn more about it. What is, we've got an open house this weekend for tennis camp. To learn. So you know what? She said something about that. There's an article to learn about it. So our learning center is this wonderful resource, and also just for Santa Clarita Valley. We take the time, we've got articles about best coffee in Santa Clarita Valley, best places to go have brunch, best, dinners on the go for the busy family, stuff like that. So just a fun resource, but it's all on our website, and we're always updating and adding. But any questions that come up just when you're stopping to think about it, it's all on the website, and then easy to link to a call. You can call us. We're always there. Swing by the club.
Okay.
You come by. We're happy to give a tour, show you around, show you what it's actually like to be there. Because the same thing, if you've never been, you don't necessarily, is it some super exclusive fancy, you don't know. And we're not like that at all. All of our contracts are month to month. We're not looking for, you belong to us till the end of eternity. And it's fun. It's easy. It's a nice, obviously I'm biased because I spend 7 days a week there, but it's a fun place to be, and we try to make it as accessible as possible. And
well, it sounds like you're really inviting and welcoming. Like you said, you've got, classes on how to shift up your workout. Because, I know a lot of folks, they kind of go in the gym, they do the same routine because that's what they know how to do. And
right?
I've seen that machine over there. I'm not really sure how it works, but you're going to teach them
And it's a little scary,
yeah,
right? Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah, that is awesome. Jen Acevedo, General Manager of the Paseo Club in Valencia, joins us this morning. When we get back, I want to talk about some of the special events that you've got coming up and how you guys are working to support others in the community as well. I'm Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. General Manager at the Paseo Club in Valencia, Jen Acevedo, joins me this morning. Jen, you were talking about your website before we went to break, and I'm looking at it now. It is a gorgeous website.
Thanks.
And, I love to give credit where it's due. Do you know who designed your website? Get out.
Who's got two thumbs and help make it?
There we go.
Girl.
Who's got two thumbs and designs it great? You're kidding. Wow, you really do it all. It is fantastic. So easy to navigate. And one more time, that's thepaseoclub.com. Right. And you've got information on all the different offerings at the club. We talked before the break about the summer camps that, again, I'm just blown away. The summer camps are offered to all youth, not just members of the club.
Yeah. It's fun. I used to coach at one of the local high schools.
Oh,
Don't necessarily have to tell you which one. I don't want to start any rivalries, but Valencia Vikings for life.
Oh, there you go.
But it was always so great to see these kids that took part in our programming, and maybe you don't see them for a few years because they're not members, but you see them in the summertime, and then they're part of these high school teams.
Yeah.
And it's just, I obviously have a very special place in my heart for all high school sports.
Sure.
It's just, I think it's such a great thing in our community, right. And we have so many great schools out here, and the kids compete and take part, and it's such a great extracurricular. And again, obviously I'm biased towards all of my sports, but coaching at the high school level and seeing those kids at that time, being able to take part in helping them learn those skills and knowing that you gave them a foundation when they were younger, like having our summer camp open to everybody is something I'm really proud of, because I think it's special for our kids, and we make it hard on them in a lot of ways, navigating high school and getting through. And, so if we can give them a little bit of sport foundation, especially in something like tennis or pickleball that you can play your whole life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of special.
Well, and I love because there might be families thinking, if my kid wants to play a sport, I'll put them in a sport or whatever. I don't know if I'm ready for the whole family to join a club.
Right.
What a great opportunity to get your foot in the door and see if this is a place that your kid would enjoy being.
Yes.
And then, they're coming back from club every day. And gosh, that place is awesome. I'm so sad, the summer camp is over. Well, then you get your membership and get back in there.
Right? Yeah, then the whole family gets to come in on fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So I mentioned before, you've got some special events coming up. Spring and summertime is definitely the time for that. So can you talk about everything that you're doing during this season at the Paseo Club?
So obviously, this was not the nicest of winters out here. Quite a bit of rain, quite a bit of cold,
What's
right?
going on?
So not always the most fun to be outside, which a lot of what we try to do, very outdoor based, because most of the time we have wonderful weather. So we're very excited for the shift now. We're ready to kick off the summer.
There you go.
We want to do it all. So first thing up is tonight we're starting our Friday night barbecues on the porch. So down by the pickleball courts, we call it the porch. It's almost like our backyard.
Okay.
We're doing barbecue, and we're going to do it every Friday. But so tonight's the kickoff. So I'm very excited. I've been watching our chef smoke meat and make mac and cheese and, do all the stuff.
Really?
So we kick it off tonight.
Very
We've
cool.
got drop-in pickleball, so this is our unofficial start to the summer. And then next weekend with Memorial Day is really, where the ball gets rolling. So every Thursday we do a pro exhibition series. So our pros and then visiting tennis pros come in, and they play a match on our stadium court.
All right.
We set up a bunch of chairs, and our members and friends can come and sit and heckle and have a beer and
be nice.
There's right. We put an MC out there, and it's really fun because you see some high level tennis.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of our pros have very interesting and wide ranging backgrounds. You played college or you went on the tour for a little while, and so when you get to actually see them in action, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So Thursday night pro exhibition series, Friday night, like I said, barbecues on the porch.
Love that.
The lifeguards start coming back for the weekends, beginning next weekend, and then in June they'll be there every day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the pool is, great place to be when it's hot.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Memorial Day, we're doing a bells and beers. So it's a kettlebell class.
All right.
So you get a good workout, and then afterwards everyone has a beer. So
There we go. Yeah.
seems like a good way to kick off your Memorial Day, right?
Carb up with a nice little IPA or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then we've got a tennis event. So a fun, round robin mixer for tennis players. We've got a pickleball event for the pickleball players. Then we do a barbecue by the pool for Memorial Day afternoon. And then
Fantastic.
Summer starts,
Yeah.
and it's just, we jump into that zone. We've got a whole bunch of graduations coming up, and we see all, we've got college kids returning and high school kids that are graduating and ready to, just have a great summer. And families come in, and, it's the best time of the year as far as I can tell.
I refer to you guys as kind of a hub for the community, for the entire family. This is amazing. This is not, the Paseo Club is not just a place where folks are going to get their exercise in before work or on their way home. This is somewhere where you can go and hang out, especially like you said, during the summertime. Kids can hang out all day and play, take some lessons, get a little swim in, but then have a barbecue, watch others, high level tennis being played on Thursday nights. You've got it's a place for the whole family to be, all the time.
It is. And we talk a lot about families, but there's also, especially having been here 20 years, we have a great senior population.
Yes.
People who had their families here, and then their families grew up, and, some of their families have moved away. Some of their families are now members, the next generation in. But, we've got a great population of older and a little active, and they still, that's their when you're still working, it's kind of your third place, right? I'm at home, I'm at work, or I'm at the club. And then when you get to retirement age, maybe it becomes your second place.
Yeah.
I'm either at home doing stuff, or I'm at the club.
I'll be at the club.
I'm sitting there having a cup of coffee with some friends, watching some tennis go on, or, getting some friends together and we're playing cards by the pool.
Sure.
I mean, so really at any age, we obviously focus on families. I focus on families because I have a family and a young daughter, and, but our senior population is awesome. We also have a great population of just singles who come. This is my place. I come and get my workout. I engage friends, community, connection, all that. I mean, there are obviously all those big tag words right now, but
sure.
I think going through something like the pandemic where we all got isolated, you need that.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
need that connection to other
Show
people.
up, get your workout in, then grab a cup of coffee, hang out, maybe swim for a little bit, socialize with people. What a great opportunity. You've touched on a couple things, but producer Sarah sent me your newsletter. You've got all kinds of things going on here, Jen.
Yes.
You mentioned you've got the barbecue on the porch going. You got your chefs smoking some meat, and going to be great. But that's not the only thing. Even tonight that you've got going on. What is Mouser Cycle? You've got Mouser Cycle today at 6 p.m. What in the world?
So we try to do a couple pop-ups every month, which is just something different, fun, get out of your comfort zone maybe. For the people that like to spin, there's an extra spin class for you. For the people that don't necessarily ride much, here's something a little different. So one of our spin instructors, her name is Maddie. She's a Disney fanatic. She's our Disney girl. She goes to Disneyland all the time. Disney is her thing. So tonight's pop-up is brought to you by the music of Disney. So we're going to be spinning to all of our favorite Disney jams.
I see.
She has put together an incredible playlist touching on all of her favorite Disney movies. So we're going to be, and it's actually the perfect lead-in, right? You go, you get your great spin on, burn a bunch of calories, get on a good sweat, and then we're going to head down to the porch and have barbecue. I mean,
perfect.
Kind of kicks off the weekend. All the spots are hit.
What an amazing evening. So So it's a Mouser cycle, but in the spin class. But you've also got some stuff going on with folks who do like to get out of the Paseo Club and onto the Paseos on their bike.
Yes.
Tomorrow tomorrow morning you've got an event, bike safety and maintenance workshop.
Yep.
Talk to us about that.
So obviously, spin is easy because you're not going anywhere. But
Sure.
we have this incredible set of Paseos.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously connects to the club, which is great for us because it's very easy entry. But these trails are amazing,
That's
and so many of
saying,
us.
right? That all Paseos lead to the club.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tagline right there.
So,
but we have these wonderful trails
Yep.
and runners, cyclists, dog walking. I mean, every time we're out on the trails, you run into a million people, because it's such a wonderful space to be.
I love it.
But if you're a bike rider, there's taking care of your bike, right?
Yep.
And not all of us are great at that.
Mm-hmm.
I admit, I've done an Ironman and I'm not a good taking care of my bike. Like, I can't change a tire. Tried to learn before.
That could be an issue in an Ironman. If you break a chain, pop a
Yeah,
tire. Yeah.
not great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mike, who's one of our instructors, is putting together this workshop. Bring your bike over. He's going to talk to you a little bit about just easy maintenance and safety, what it means to ride on the Paseos. Not everybody always knows, okay, you want to be on this side, these are your lanes,
Okay.
this is how you pass safely, things like that, that don't always
Interesting.
come up and
Sure.
can cause accident, can cause problems.
Sure.
Running, cycling, do you have your dog on a leash? I mean, all those little parts that come together.
Wow.
So
Really good points.
great workshop. Again, open to everybody.
Yeah,
We've invited
looking at
non-members
that.
to come and join us.
Yeah, non-members are invited as well.
Yes.
So maybe you're thinking, I'm not sure about the club, but I want to get my bike out on the Paseos. Well, get on down to the Paseo Club tomorrow at 10:30 a.m., May 20th, and take a bike safety and maintenance workshop.
Yep.
That is fantastic. And then, so I mentioned pickleball, and I had never heard of pickleball. You said it's been around since the 60s, but never heard of it until the pandemic. I've actually got a friend now who's kind of an expert at pickleball. And
Nice.
she's going, you know what, meet me at the park, let's play pickleball. And I got to tell you, Jen, my answer has been, oh, I'd love to, but what time? Oh, yeah, I've got a thing, right? Because
Got a thing.
Jen, I don't know how to play pickleball, and I
okay.
don't want to get out there and embarrass myself.
No.
But you guys have a pickleball starter class.
Oh, yeah.
I could sneak in a starter class and then get out there and at least seem like I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
Fantastic.
We do tennis and pickleball starter classes. So,
All right.
we obviously, to us, you're part of the community, you're part of the whole. When you are a member of Paseo, we want you to be able to take part in everything that's happening at Paseo.
Yep.
So any kind of membership, you are welcome to come and take starter classes. They're free. We're going to teach you the basics, teach you the foundations. Tennis, pickleball, take them both. Do it
Right,
all.
yeah.
Play everything. But in pickleball, it's so fun. One of the greatest things about the sport is it's easy to learn, except for the scoring. The scoring is ridiculous and weird, and that's going to take you a minute. But if you can learn to dink and you can learn to serve, you can start to play. And you can do that 1 or 2 starter classes
Okay.
where you feel like, okay, I'm not going to go out and embarrass myself.
Right. Exactly.
Maybe I'm not going to run the court. Maybe I'm going to need a little help with the scoring,
Right.
but I'm going to go out there and I can enjoy myself and have fun. And it's such a social sport because of things like drop-ins where it's just, okay, look, the 4 of us are here. Let's go play.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care about your level. I don't care. You've never played before? Great. Let's go play. We're happy
Sure.
to teach you. And it's such an engaging sport that way because everyone's happy to do that. And that doesn't always happen on the tennis court. I say that as a tennis player. But the pickleball court it's very inclusive.
Yeah.
It's an inclusive sport. And so you take a starter class or 2, and then you feel like, you know what? I can do this. I can go out and have fun.
Very cool. Very cool. And I love, you've got different times for all different kinds of schedules. You've got, Monday in the mornings. My boss just walked in. Boss, I'm not going to be taking pickleball classes in the middle of the workday. They've got evening classes. They've got Saturday classes. So
Got 'em all.
So I can get out there and get my pickleball on, on the weekend during the off hours. So this is fantastic. Now, I mentioned you're also helping out others in the community. The Paseo Club partners with local nonprofits to host an event called, and I had no idea what this was, but I just picked up on your context clues, Dink for a Cause. Can you tell our listeners what Dink for a Cause is?
So Dink for Cause, very, very near and dear to my heart. 2 of our members began this nonprofit organization, and they're incredible women, doing incredible things. But both pickleball players, they met on the pickleball court. And so when they put this nonprofit together, it was to be able to give back, to pay it forward, which obviously in our community is just something that makes our community special. There are people like Monica and Mitra that want to give back. So Dink for Cause, they have a huge tournament coming up the 3rd and the 4th of June at our club. They are partnering with Be the Match. So to get the word out there, to be part of Be the Match, you have to be 18 to 40 years old. You do a little cheek swab and you see if you could be a match with somebody. Oh. If you could help save a life or prolong a life or help somebody to get healthier when they're ill, and beautiful. Need some help. And Be the Match is an amazing situation. Everything they do is phenomenal. But one of the founders of Dink for Cause lost her husband to leukemia, but he had a match. And it bought him another year with his family, another set of birthdays, another anniversary, another, a little more time. Yeah. And so when he was battling, he said, you know what? When I am better, I'm going to pay it forward because this is magical. This person did this for me and I get to be with you guys. And, and it's so special. And so Monica has continued that with Dink for Cause. They, obviously this is their big tournament, but they partner with other things during the course of the year to give back, to make our community better. And it just, it gives you the chills. And it's one of those things that's so special and so meaningful. Yeah. And for us at the club to be able to give them the court space to run a tournament, to be able to bring more awareness to a great cause, to, it's a no-brainer for us because it's our community. Yeah.
So much fun and so easy. Get out there, play some pickleball.
It's a pickleball tournament, right?
Swab your cheek
it's the best weekend there could be.
Right?
Absolutely.
What are you doing this weekend? I'm going to play a little pickleball, see if I can't save somebody's life. That
sounds pretty good.
Amazing.
Pretty decent weekend.
That is amazing. Jen, you've got so much going on. You've got pickleball leagues for the summer. We mentioned the tennis club, the pickleball club for kids for the summertime that open to members and non-members. I'm looking. You've got play dates that you're setting up. Drive-in movie nights. You mentioned the barbecue. You've got things called weekend warrior games.
A lot going on.
Really is a place where the whole family can gather and spend the whole day or get your workout in and get to work. It's just really, like I said, a hub for the family, a hub for the community. One more time, your website for folks that are interested in either that bike workshop going on tomorrow or joining as a member or sending their kids to the summer camp.
All of it, yeah. All the information is at thepaseoclub.com. And, like we said, anything on the phone, you call us, you swing by. And really just coming by, bring your bike tomorrow. Come by the workshop, talk about changing a tire, maybe you can teach me how after, because that would be great. But, then take a minute and take a look around and you kind of see who we are and what we're about.
Fantastic. Jen Acevedo, General Manager at the Paseo Club in Valencia. Go check them out. Again, it's thepaseoclub.com. Beautiful website. Sign up for their newsletter. There's just always not something, but a million things going on at the Paseo Club. Jen, thanks so much for joining me. I want you to have a great weekend and do me a favor, keep your eyes up and your elbows straight. I don't know what that means.
I like it, though.
We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back. I'm Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. Taking a look at traffic really quickly. There's a car over there. And there's another one right there. So take it easy out there and drive safe. And looking at international news, this is kind of an interesting story. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken yesterday condemned attacks on a U.S. convoy in Nigeria. The attack, which took place this Tuesday, resulted in the death of at least 4 Nigerian nationals who were accompanying the 2 U.S. vehicles that were there as part of an advanced team for a U.S. mission to provide flood relief. There are still several missing. Kind of tragic. We condemn, Antony Blinken, our Secretary of State, says, we condemn in the strongest terms this attack, Blinken said. We will work closely with our Nigerian law enforcement colleagues in seeking to bring those responsible to justice. And in a related story, I was thinking about this. If you were U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, wouldn't you use your initial instead of your first name? Like, I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the name Antony, beautiful name, but think about it. There's a good number of prominent figures in U.S. history who have gone by their first initial or initials. We've got J.D. Salinger, Jerome David, Catcher in the Rye, amazing novel. J. Edgar Hoover, right? Kind of controversial. John Edgar, director of the FBI. Do you call him Webb Dubois or W.E.B. Dubois? I prefer Webb. It's a little easier, a little rolls off the tongue, but it's William Edward Burgart Dubois. That's kind of a mouthful, and so it's logical that he would go by Webb. Sociologist, socialist historian, Pan-Africanist, civil rights activist. J.K. Rowling, yeah, I know she's British, and I said Americans, but still, Joanne Kathleen, writer of the Harry Potter series. So a lot of famous folks choose to go by a first initial or initials, and so why not Secretary? So why Secretary of State Antony Blinken? Seriously, think about it. Growing up, he had to have thought of this. Why would you not? I mean, if you were him, wouldn't you go by your first initial? Let's try it out. Let me read that story again, but let me just change Antony to his first initial, substitute that in. One more time, taking a look at international news, U.S. Secretary of State Abe Blinken yesterday condemned attacks on a U.S. convoy in Nigeria. The attack, which took place this Tuesday, resulted in the death of at least 4 Nigerian nationals who were accompanying the 2 U.S. vehicles that were part of an advanced team for a U.S. mission to provide flood relief. There are several still missing. We condemn in the strongest terms this attack, Abe Blinken said. We will work closely with our Nigerian law enforcement colleagues in seeking to bring those responsible to justice. Doesn't it just seem to have a little bit more pop, Don't you feel like you can trust your Secretary of State just a little bit more now? And think about the rooms that he enters, right? Madam Prime Minister, allow me to introduce you to the Secretary of State, Abe Blinken, right? Your Highness, I'm delighted to meet you. I'm Abe Blinken. Have you met my son, Abe Blinken, right? Who wouldn't want to say that, right? So why do you suppose he doesn't do that? Yeah, again, I suppose Antony Blinken is just fine, but I've always wondered about that about our Secretary of State, and Engineer Carlos, caution here. I didn't realize the boss was going to be sitting next to me while I read the next part of this. But speaking of folks that go by their first initial or initials, when I was a kid, my dad would sometimes go by his first 2 initials. Sometimes I would go out to the mail and see things that were addressed to him in that way, and I've got to be honest, I would get a little offended. I would get a little bit more than a little offended. My dad's name is Michael Francis. So yeah, sometimes he would receive correspondence addressed to Michael Francis Watson, and sometimes just his first 2 initials, and I'd pull out those envelopes from the mailbox, and it would bother me for a few seconds, but you learn to get over it, right? Think about it over the break, Carlos. When we get back, like I said, we are going to take a quick break, but when we get back, I'm really excited. We're going to be joined by iLead CEO Amanda Fisher. This school year has been winding down. I mentioned at the top of the show some of those the end of the school year is always exciting, not just because we're coming up to the end, but because we come up on some of the super exciting events that come with the end of the school year, graduation and prom and things like that. Well, at iLead Schools, we've got a lot of really exciting events. I was at one yesterday where kids were presenting their passion project, things that they're passionate about, so much so that they chose to take a deep dive and work on something for a full year, and I was able to head out to iLead Agua Dulce and not just watch their presentations, but to assess them. And I've got to tell you, the future's looking bright if the sophomores at iLead Agua Dulce are any indication. So we'll talk about that and a lot more when we get back with iLead CEO Amanda Fisher, as she and her schools are ramping up, not just for the end of the school year, but that always brings the beginning of the new school year. 2023-2024 gulp is already coming. So we'll check in with her and see what's going on at iLead and their 6 schools. At least one of them is near you. So stay tuned. I am Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, your host, and you're listening to SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. We're coming to you live from the center of Main Street here in beautiful downtown Newhall, and I'm super excited to have my next guest here in studio. She is the CEO of iLead California and brings more than 2 decades of educational experience to iLead schools. As CEO, Amanda Fisher leads a team that includes 6 schools and over 6,000 students. Amanda has served in our community as a teacher, assistant principal, director, assistant superintendent, and she's now in her 5th year with iLead California and her 6th month in the top role. Her family has lived in Santa Clarita for quite a while as well. In fact, well over 100 years. And on top of that, Amanda is a 3rd-generation Hart High graduate and a parent of a soon-to-be 4th generation. Imagine that, 4 generations graduating from the same high school here in Awesome Town. Amanda, welcome back to Eye on the Valley.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So I mentioned your amazing career growth, and last hour we were talking to Jen from the Paseo Club. She has done kind of everything, all the different jobs at the Paseo Club. You've kind of done all the different jobs in education, which makes you a great leader, right? You not only empathize with, but you understand what it's like to be in the classroom, to be a school leader, to be someone who runs one of those departments. And now as CEO of iLead, you've been very busy. So can you tell us just real quick how it's been going since you took over the CEO role about 6 months ago?
Sure. It's actually been great. I think there was benefit in the fact that I've been with iLead for 5 years. So I definitely had my pulse on where the schools are and what they needed and how to continue to support them. But at the same time, internally in iLead California, which is kind of like a district office, so to speak, in the normal sector. We've had a lot of fun recalibrating and just re-looking at the heart of who we are as iLead and making sure we're aligned and we have systems in place and everyone is in agreement. We've redone our visions and our missions and our learner outcomes, staying true to our core, but been able to just recalibrate. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting time for someone from my position watching as you and the rest of the team have gone through and kind of cleaned up a little bit, right? Because as you kind of plod through the day-to-day, you can lose focus sometime, and this time has been a time of refocusing. You mentioned that what you do is kind of akin to being a superintendent or working at a district office, but it's different, right? We are a charter school network, and folks often ask, what's the difference between a charter school and a public school? Misnomer, friends, spoiler alert. Charter schools are public schools, free for all who want to attend. But Amanda, talk to us a little bit about some of the challenges and then some of the beauty of a charter school network and what charters offer.
So I'm going to start with beauty.
All right.
So the beauty is kind of like a district office, is that we have each other. We support each other. We're sister schools, and we have a heart to who we are. So iLead's heart is about personalized learning, social emotional learning, and project-based learning. And that's the core of who we are no matter what program you're in.
Okay.
Some of the difficulties are, and much like maybe in a district too, is that we really are individualized. Every kid is an individual. Every teacher is an individual. Every community has its own flavor. And so some of the things that we need to do is as we go in and we keep the core of who we are as iLead, we look at the needs of the individual community. And so, for example, if we go to iLead Agua Dulce, their community really has a heavy agriculture, animals, it's play-based, and so that is kind of their flavor. If you look at iLead Online, one of our virtual schools, they're really about a school for parents who don't want to be heavily involved, but want their kids, or their kids are thriving in a virtual environment. And so making sure we're meeting those individual needs of each of our 6 schools is really important. And it's difficult, right? Because we have to stay true to who we are, but still figure out how to best serve those schools.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really appreciate it is, we don't have to be just like every other school, right? And you've grown up in this community, you've taught in this community, you know that Santa Clarita is known for its amazing quality schools.
Absolutely.
But sometimes families need something different or want something different. And that's what...
And maybe not family. Maybe child needs something different. And so that has been something that I think, like you said, I grew up in the traditional public setting. And in this area, there's amazing schools.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, but I've learned that even sometimes in the same family, that what one child needs is very different than what another child needs. And so that is the beauty of charter schools, is that we are able to provide what works best for your child and meet their individual needs.
Yeah, definitely. You bring up a good point. My kids, even though they were in school at the same time, they attended different schools because they, as individuals, they needed something different. Would it have been convenient for me as a parent if they were to go to same schools? Sure, but they each needed something a little bit different, and we're living in a time of school choice, right? I remember reading an article, and gosh, this was probably maybe 12 years ago, about how 50 years ago, so now I'm 60, maybe 65 years ago, the single most important decision a parent could make was which pediatrician to take their child to, right? You had to pick the right doctor to make sure your kid grew healthy and stayed strong and was able to be successful in life. And now that has shifted, and as of about 10, 15 years ago, the single most important decision a parent could make or a family could make is where to send their child to school. The reason that shifted is because parents now have a choice. 50, 60 years ago, gosh, even when you and I were growing up, you only had a choice if you had the financial ability to take your child out of public school and send them to private school. Nowadays, with things like inter-district transfers, intra-district transfers, and the charter school movement, families have got a myriad of choices as to where to send their kids, and so iLead just offers different options. And speaking of different options, I mentioned iLead has 6 different schools, and we do serve different communities. On the west side of Santa Clarita, we've got SCVI right off of Newhall Ranch Road. On the east side here, we've got iLead Agua Dulce, and I know every time it's so funny. I still have friends that look at me and say, Agua Dulce, that's way up there. That's way out of town. No. We're in downtown Newhall right now. iLead Agua Dulce is just a couple minutes up the road. In fact, we've got families that drive up there from the San Fernando Valley. But then in Lancaster, you've got 3 separate locations in Lancaster. So why the different campuses? Why the different schools? Can you go through maybe each of your 6 schools and talk about the different styles of education, the different services that each school provides?
Sure. So let's start down here in Santa Clarita. We'll start with our SCVI K-12, or it's actually a TK-12 program. It's our founding school. It's been in existence for 15 years, and they have a dual language immersion program. They have International Baccalaureate program. I think the beauty of this school for me is not only that it is a school in the area, and one of the reasons it's very different, other than the International Baccalaureate, is that it is TK through 12. So your child can stay in the same place from when they start school all the way till when they graduate from school. And how beautiful is that, that you really get to know the child, the family, and provide personalized learning to them. Can't get away with anything because you know them so well, right? So that is SCVI, located right off of Hasley Canyon up there. It's great. Then we go up the freeway to iLead Agua Dulce, as Matt said, about 10-15 minutes from here. And they are a TK through 10 school, growing by a grade level each year.
So next year they're going to be opening 11th grade up until we get our seniors there too?
All the way till seniors. It's a super small campus, animals on the campus. I don't know, for those of you who've been around here a long time, it kind of reminds me of Town and Country Farm School.
I remember.
I went to Town and Country Farm School. But it kind of has that flavor where there's animals on campus and the kids take care of them. It has a little bit of that freeness to it where they're able to climb trees and dig in dirt and get muddy.
And be kids.
And you talked about their passion projects yesterday and how amazing that was. And so being able to take kids' passions and develop projects and tie them to standards is amazing. So it's an amazing campus. Go out and visit. If we keep traveling up the 14 freeway, we're going to hit iLead Lancaster, which was the second school in our organization. iLead Lancaster is
They're celebrating 10 years this year. Can you believe it?
Awesome.
So
They're a TK through 8 school, open concept. Nicole has so much going on there. There's interventions, and it's really heavy involved with social emotional work. So there's social workers, and there's counselors, and there's all kinds of support. There's home visits. What those kids need is, we really found, was that no matter how much academic intervention we were doing, that it really came back to, we needed the social emotional first. Of course, you don't learn unless you feel safe.
Right.
And so that's what our focus has really been at iLead Lancaster this last year. I think especially coming out of the pandemic, right? We noticed that there was a gap in learning, but was it really a learning gap, or was it, do I feel safe, do I feel loved, and do I have relationships? And I can't learn without those three things.
We all went through so much trauma during the pandemic, and kids came back with this. And I hear for the first time, 6th grade teachers, 7th grade teachers complaining about tattling. That's a 3rd grade behavior, but it was something that came into the middle school ages and even up into the high school. Kids kind of forgot how to do people, and so we need to kind of reinforce that kind of stuff before they can get to the trigonometry and all that hard academic stuff.
Yeah, the other campus we have in the Antelope Valley is we have Empower Generations, which its focus is parent impregnating and at-promise youth. Great program. It has a center, so you can go in up to 4 days a week and get individual support. They have built into the curriculum for those that are pregnant or parenting, both the mom and the dad. They've built in coursework for that, as well as, you can bring your baby on campus with you. That's a norm. And they just opened a brand new, beautiful facility, and so we're so happy for them.
It is gorgeous, and I love that you've got an entire school focused on that sector of the school population that oftentimes our schools don't really have a place for them to go, and people get really stressed out. And what do we do? Well, you bring them in, bring their baby in, teach them how to be career and college ready, while teaching them how to be good, strong parents as well. And
I think Balika, the director there, she's done a really great job of combining her learners' passion and competencies to build the curriculum around that to meet their needs, so that they are prepared to go into the world wherever they want to be, whether community college or career. So super proud of that program and what they're doing there. Also in the Antelope Valley, we have iLead AV. iLead AV is actually a program of the iLead Hybrid Charter.
Okay.
Our iLead Hybrid Charter is our largest charter school, and the majority of it is made up of home study. So if you hear the name iLead Exploration, that's us.
Okay.
We have about 4,000 kids in that program, and it's awesome. It's for those parents who want to be very actively involved in their learners' education. So you get to help choose the curriculum that, you get to go in and look at the curriculum that's offered, and there's educational funds, and you choose what you want that's aligned to the standards to best meet the needs of your child. And you have an EF, or an educational facilitator, that meets with you to help you align 20 days worth of instruction. You have opportunities. You can meet with them weekly, daily, whatever fits your schedule. But really, parents are heavily involved in that program. Part of that program, as I said, is the iLead AV campus. And on that campus, we actually offer 2 programs. One of them is iLead AV Exploration, which is kind of a pilot for us. We wanted to see what home study looked like doing all project-based learning.
Oh, wow.
And so it's gone really well. It's still growing, but there is a studio there. So if you're in that program, you can come into that studio a couple days a week and take classes. And then in addition to that, we have iLead AV Hybrid, which is a studio where kids have to come to school 2 days a week at least. Now, they can come up to 4, but they must come in 2 days to receive instruction in person, and then those other days are optional. And then in addition to that, we have iLead online, which is for, as I said earlier, those parents who maybe don't want to be quite as involved as in the iLead exploration program. Mm-hmm. So they have teachers that will work with them, set up their schedule, assign their curriculum. They can go every single day, multiple hours a day, and be online with a facilitator, get the support they need anytime they need it.
And that one, too, is TK through 12th grade.
Yes.
And when we opened up that charter and they said, yeah, we're going to do TK through 12, I thought, how are you going to have kindergartners enrolled in an online school? But I have worked closely with the kindergarten facilitators. Not only is it possible, they're getting some of the best results that I've seen around, and they're connecting with kids. And then I also hear the other, yeah, but I don't want my kid on a screen all day. Nope. They check in, they interact with their classmates, they interact with their teacher, they get their work, and then they're told, turn that computer off, get outside and work in your garden that you've plotted out and that you're learning about, or, take your notebook and you're going to write, and your parents are going to take pictures and email it into your teacher, your facilitator. And so it really is a beautiful, it's not that click test online school.
No.
Yeah.
You made me think of something too, because I think sometimes we think that when we're going to iLead online or we're going to iLead exploration, that there's no social interaction.
Oh.
And social interaction, as you heard me say in the very beginning, is such a core of who we are. So you can interact with people virtually, as Matt said. So every morning you have advisory or morning meeting, and you can meet with peers via screen. But we have play dates, we have field trips, we have field studies. There are lots of opportunities to socialize and interact with other kids.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think iLead Online's got their beach day coming up. Everybody's going out to Zuma Beach, and they're gonna play. I know one of my favorite ones, iLead Exploration. You mentioned our independent study. I get in trouble sometimes with the directors when I call it homeschool, and they say, Matt, no, homeschool is a family that removes their kids from the public school, but you get public school support here in our study from home independent study program. But one of my favorite dates of the year is when they do their snow day in July, where they truck in a bunch of snow and kids make snowballs, and it's so funny. They're barefoot and in their swimsuits chucking snowballs around. It is fantastic. And I love that you've just, over the last 15, 16 years, iLead has added a new school, a new program, a new option for families as kids' needs have evolved, right? You've got a quote in your founding school SCVI that says, if a child is not learning the way we're teaching, then we need to teach the way the child can learn. And that's the whole reason you've got all these different programs, right?
And we continue to evolve, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that even me coming in as the CEO, that was my big thing, is charter schools started out very different. I will say it was the wild, wild west, right?
Oh,
you could
yeah.
almost do anything you wanted. And over the years, there's more compliance, there's more restrictions. Are you teaching standards? All of those things are super important. But we've got AI, we've got artificial intelligence, we have virtual reality, all of these things coming into play. We have to change.
Yeah.
Education has to change.
Yeah.
And so I love charters for that reason, because we are constantly trying to innovate and change and make our kids ready for the world they're going to step into, not the world you and I stepped into.
Right. And you bring up a really good point, because folks do ask that, but do you teach the standards? Are your teachers credentialed? Oh yeah, we need to meet the same rigorous standards that all public schools do. And our kids are tested at the end of the year, just like all public schools. And so, yeah, we've got that highly qualified team out there, but providing that innovative education that prepares your kids for really an unknown world, because you're not teaching them to do, you're teaching them to think, to lead, to innovate. We're joined this morning by CEO of iLead Schools, Amanda Fisher. When we get back, we'll talk more about those schools that she described and how you can join the team or enroll your child. Stick around. I'm Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and I'm joined this morning by Amanda Fisher, CEO of iLead California Charter Schools. So Amanda, we talked last break about how you've worked in several of our local schools and districts and now at iLead California. Can you talk about what it's like to work for for iLead versus working in a traditional local district?
Sure. It's funny. I just interviewed for a position the other day, and the person said to me,
Wait, you interviewed for a new position? What aren't you
no,
telling us?
No.
Okay,
I interviewed somebody for a new position inside of iLead the other day.
Alrighty, producer Sarah almost dropped the phone.
And their final question to us is, why do you work for iLead? And they asked everybody at the table. And it was really, I think, humbling for me and exciting at the same time, because they said the people. And that is why I'm at iLead. It's really about the people. We have, in iLead, we really believe in taking care of each other. And our motto is kind of top down, right? So if I take care of my team and my team takes care of the school leadership can then take care of the teachers, and the teachers can then take care of the families and their learners. And so I really believe in that. Like, that is the core of who we are, is to be empathetic, to be kind, and to be loving. And so I was grateful to have the team say that before I said why I was at iLead. And I know that exists on other campuses, and I'm not saying that it doesn't. I started my career at Castake School District, and I will tell you, I was hired by Bev Silsby, who I love to death, and her daughter still works there. They were very family friendly as well. And like, I think they're the ones who started my career and made me seek that and search for that. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to be here, and it still exists. I also worked in the Sulphur Springs district, and there was family, but there's something different about when that is the core. I mean, that is our major focus, is taking care of our people, because it trickles down, and then we can take care of our kids.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny, I wasn't in that interview yesterday, but I would have answered the same thing. I joined iLead 12 years ago now. Not very romantic, but because I needed a job. But more interesting is why I stay, right? And it is that family feel. Immediately, the team at iLead pulled me in and made me part of their family. And then as a teacher, as an educator, it's just been so beautiful, because I have the opportunity to do what's right by kids, to do what I know my learners, my students, and their families need. And it's just it's so wonderful, and I just really fell in love with the charter school movement overall.
I think the other thing that you just made me think of is that it's safe to be who you are and to not know everything. And I think sometimes when you go into a position, you're afraid to say, I don't know, I need help. And iLead really has a culture of, it's okay. Tell me you don't know.
Yeah.
We have so much support. We are going to wrap our arms around you, and we are going to make you successful. And the same way we make our kids successful.
Yeah.
Let's be personalized. Like, tell me what you don't know. Let me wrap my arms around you and personalize your teaching, whatever you need, the same way I'm going to do for kids.
And my first year at iLead, I discovered the power of that in the classroom. I was that traditional teacher. I needed the answers in the back of the book because I needed to know when the kids asked me. But I found the power when a kid would ask me a question in saying, you know what, I don't know. Why don't you go explore that? Why don't you find out? And boy, did that just open their mind and just open a whole world of learning to them, rather than just giving them the answer, making them dependent on me. Because when we do that, again, we're preparing our kids for that old model, right? We're preparing them for the factory floor model, rather than be a leader. You don't have a solution, go create one, go find one.
And I think I was just at a conference recently, and they were saying, we know there's teacher burnout out there. I mean, people are leaving the profession, and we need them, and we need you. If you're a teacher out there, we need you.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is because they feel like they no longer have autonomy to do what's best for the kids they teach. And so I think that as coming into a CEO role, that's one of the things I've really tried to focus on, is making sure that we continue to allow teacher to be autonomous in the classroom. That yes, we have to take the standardized test at the end of the year. But what do you think is the best way for your kids? Because you know your kids. You have relationships with your kids. You build what they need to know. You pace it. You guide it the way you think, because you're the expert. And then at the end, we'll get to the final goal. And So I think that's really important too, and I think that's something that's different about iLead is really allowing our staff to have voice and choice and be autonomous.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up. Just yesterday, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who's a teacher who said, Matt, I'm good at what I do, and I want to work hard. I want to teach. I just don't want to be micromanaged with a bunch of mandates. And that's kind of what we free our teachers to do. So we kind of got off on a tangent, but I love that we're talking about how wonderful it is to work for iLead, and we do need teachers. We need credentialed teachers at our schools. So if somebody wants to join the team, how can they do that?
So you can go on any of our school's websites. So whatever school that you want, you can go on. We're on EdJoin, we're on Indeed. We have all of our job postings posted. You apply just like you would for any other school district out there, and then we will contact you and be in touch.
And if you don't know which school you want, but you think that this is something that appeals to you, who knows? Maybe you've been in the classroom for 10, 15 years and you're thinking about, hey, maybe I could do an independent study or a hybrid program. Or maybe you're just coming out of college and looking around and you're not sure. Just go to our main website, iLeadschools.org, and then in the upper right-hand corner, you've got a button that says careers. iLeadschools.org careers, and you can get started with us. And our team in the human resources department will reach out to you and say, all right, any idea which school you want to work at? Just say, I don't know. And we'll start you down the road, and you can figure it out as you go through the process with us. So Amanda, we talked before about how what you do as CEO of a charter school network is similar to being a superintendent in a school district, but it's also got its differences. You are, and we're very clear with our teams, and it's interesting, kind of a bit of a flipped model, right? Because you're not the superintendent in charge of the principals. We actually work for our schools, which is kind of a neat dynamic. So what does it mean to be a service provider, which is what iLead California is for most of our schools? And how is your role a little bit different from a superintendent that way?
Yeah, so I love it because I am truly a servant leader is what I am. And so like you said, I guess the best explanation for those looking for traditional comparison is the superintendent. But what really happens is that we provide back office service support for our charter schools. So they get iLead California's team provides HR and finance and credentialing and